Welcome to the New Zero. I'm Zach, and in this video, I want to talk to you about my story and why and how I ended up here. On June 11th, 2018, it was around 10 p.m. and I was sitting in this chair at a different location. And I started to think to myself, I need to change. Something needs to happen in my life so that I can move forward. I'm not going to say that my life hit rock bottom or that I was going through a really tough time. I have to admit, I was actually enjoying my life quite a lot. I was eating a lot of food. Every day I would go out and eat a burger, I'd eat pizza, I was smoking cigarettes, I was almost a pack a day smoker. Life was great. I would wake up in the morning and the first thing that I would do is eat something. Whether it was healthy was debatable, but I would go and have breakfast pizza, I would have dessert. It was really common for me to be driving to work and eating an ice cream. It was a lot of fun and I wasn't that worried. I'm still young. I was 25 at the time, turning 26, and in my head there wasn't really much to lose. I was adding weight, so I was getting heavier and heavier, and I hit 102 kilos from memory. So I was putting on some weight, and people did notice. People would say, "Oh, you're putting weight on, you need to be careful, you need to lose weight. What are you doing to yourself?" And it would go in one ear and out the other. Didn't really care. It came to the point where I started actually filming myself eat food and uploading it to social media. I was putting it on Snapchat and Instagram, and I developed quite a large following. People were looking forward to seeing me eat food, and it was quite disturbing when I watch it back. Maybe in some future videos I might show you guys what it looked like. But it was a great time to be alive. There was a lot of food and there was no signs of me stopping. I knew I had to stop eventually, and the weight did severely impact my ability to move around. I became immobile and usually just wanted to kick back and relax. On top of that, the fact that I was smoking didn't help, and I suffered from asthma, so breathing problems, and it wasn't a big mess, but it did impact my quality of life. And on June 11th, when I sat in this same chair, something happened, and I really can't describe what it is, but it made me think about what I needed to do in my life. And I actually got up at that point, and I had an active gym membership like most people and was never using it. And what I did was I got into my car and I said, this is it. I'm going to start training. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to get in shape. Did I know how to do it? Yeah. I think everyone has a slight idea on how to lose weight and how to improve their lifestyle. On the way, I actually had a car accident. I hit into the back of another car on the way to the gym. If there was ever something that was going to demotivate me, this was it. I ended up sorting that out and I continued to the gym, and when I parked up outside the gym, I actually lit up a cigarette, ironically. And I said to myself, if this is the only setback, then I should be alright. So I went in, I did something. I did some form of movement. I don't know if it was the treadmill or whether it was a cross trainer. I lifted up some dumbbells. It wasn't the best workout, but I began the journey to improving my life. From there, I slowly started to incorporate better eating habits. So I began to cook some of my meals for work. I cooked 5 meals per week, and that slowly went to 10 meals a week. And I was watching what I ate, and I didn't go out too often to eat junk food, and the weight was falling off quite quick. I was losing upwards of 1.5 kilos a week. And towards the end of the year, I think I had reached close to 20 kilos lost. and my body was significantly in better shape. But I knew that this wasn't sustainable. In the past, I tried to go to the gym. It never worked. I'd last for 1 week. I'd go on New Year's Day and I'd last 3 days before I'm back to my usual routine of nothingness. This was different though. I knew that if I wanted to continue and be consistent, that I needed to make changes, because it hit the point where I was going to the gym for 2 hours a day and I was eating really good food, but I was not happy at all. The weight was falling off, but you'd still be judged. People would see you eat something that wasn't particularly healthy and they'd talk about, oh, what are you doing? Are you going back to your old ways, or is your diet falling apart? And I knew that if I had my main goal of just losing weight, then that was enough, because when the weight falls off, the motivation goes away. Your reasons for eating healthy start to disappear, and I needed a plan to make sure that it was consistent. So I began to look into habits and how I can maintain these healthy habits. And at this point, I started reading. And I was reading a book on how to quit smoking, because that was the next step of my journey. I wanted to make sure that smoking was no longer a part of my life. And I read Alan Carr's book, The Only Way to Stop Smoking. I had read this a few times before with no success, or I quit for 6 months at a time or a year and would stop. This time was different though, and I adopted the habit of reading only 1 page per day and then increasing that slowly. But this worked tremendously well. And when I finished that book, I was like, maybe I'll keep reading. I had a routine of walking to a local cafe in the morning and having my morning coffee. And this was probably the most crucial habit of mine, because it just kept me clear on what I wanted to achieve. I had a lot of clarity, and I knew that there was big potential for growth. I then bought a few books, and some of these books were just sort of me in a bookstore looking at things that interested me, and I went ahead and purchased them. And I knew that reading books isn't something that I particularly enjoyed, so I adopted the same habit of the smoking, or the book about quitting smoking, which was to only read a page a day at the minimum, and that would be what I'd classify as a successful day. So if I read 1 page, things were going sweet. And I bought Ray Dalio's book of Principles of Life and Work. And this was a really good book, and I'm not going to give you guys details on what the book was about, but this was what started my growth journey. And then I ended up reading Carol Dweck's book on the fixed and growth mindset. And I think this is what catapulted the whole change process within me, and what inspired me to create this channel over a year later. And to say that this book is life-changing is an understatement, because it started to demystify some of those myths or those assumptions that you make when you're younger. Things that you're told in school is you needed to be gifted in certain subjects, and I was never good at math, for example, and I just didn't know how to write really well. And I thought that these things are just things that come to you naturally. Carol Dweck's book taught me that not everything is fixed. If you were to put effort into your own growth in whatever area that may be, you never know your potential until you actually put in those hours of work. So I tried to experiment that, and I ended up buying a math book. It was How to Ace Maths in One Single Textbook. And I was like, maybe I can be okay at maths if I just put my mind to it. So for the next 5 weeks, I sat down and I started to work away at this book, and it turns out that I'm not that bad. I did learn how to do algebra, and I became a lot better at statistics and probability and scientific notation and all those stuff, or all those things that I didn't particularly like. In 5 weeks, I wrote over 120 pages, and this is on top of working full-time and continuing my routine. So, not to get carried away with everything, but Throughout the year of reading the book on quitting smoking, I actually managed to read over 25 books in that 12-month period. It meant that I learned a lot, of course, and I also implemented a habit of learning how to write with my right hand. I'm actually naturally left-handed, and within 3 months, I became almost fluent with my right hand, and it's safe to say now that I actually only write with my right hand. A lot of things that I thought were fixed actually became a lot more natural. It's actually not impossible to learn new things and to grow in areas that you thought you're not good at. But I do want to continue this journey, and this is why I'm making these videos. It's to pass on the things that I learn and to add value to other people's lives. I hope this sheds some light on who I am and why I'm doing this. And I really want to hear what you guys think with these videos. I've never been confident in front of the camera. This is not my strong suit, but I know that if I upload a video each week, I will get better week by week. From being dictated by food to helping others learn, I feel as though it's a great change, and hopefully this is going to benefit all of you out there. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe so that you can get those notifications and reminders for when new videos come, and make sure that you leave comments down below. That's it for this week. And next week, I'm going to talk a little bit more about not just the habits that I do every single day, but also the fixed and growth mindset from Carol Dweck's book. So make sure you tune in. And for now, enjoy the rest of your week.